Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Camille and today I'm gonna show you how I transformed this beautiful fabric. It's actually bedding that I got at the thrift store for about $7 Canadian. So it's extremely cheap and I'm pretty sure that's a king sized. So that's a lot of fabric. There's two layers because I think it's a duvet cover, so there's this little blue part that I don't know if I'm gonna use yet, and then there's this beautiful floral, and it's gonna make a really nice prom dress. And I actually decided that it's gonna be a two pieces dress. So basically consisting of a corset top and a long skirt at the bottom. So the cool thing with that is that you can wear them both together as a single dress or as individually as a corset with like just jeans or any pants you like, and you can wear the skirt along with another top. So first I'm printing off the pattern. It's going to be linked down below in the description, and here I chose to use gridded paper or like lined paper that you usually use for taking notes in school, just because it's a cheaper paper and it's much thinner and it's perfect for patterns. Moving on, I'm just cutting up my pattern pieces, and as you can see, one of them is divided in smaller pieces just so it fits onto regular paper. So now I'm just assembling the pieces. So letters C and B come already as one piece, and letter A comes into multiple little pieces. So you're gonna want to cut 4 of B and C and 2 of letter A, except letter A is cut on fold. So I'm pinning it down to my fabric and cutting all of the pieces. I make sure to add a seam allowance of about 1 centimeter or half an inch. So here's what my pieces look like, and I'm going to start assembling them just by pinning them up against one another on the right side. Since it's on a bit of a curve, you just want to make sure to follow the curve. And I'm just sewing them up with a straight stitch. Here is what my front piece looks like, and here is my lining. Next, I'm moving on to sewing in the channels for my boning. So to do that, I'm going to add channels just with some scraps of fabric on the wrong side of the front piece of fabric. And for this part, you need to be extremely careful. First, I sewed one straight line down the middle, and then I used my piece of boning to mark exactly where I should sew the second line. and I was happy to notice that the width of each channel has to be exactly half of my foot on my sewing machine. So it really helped me to align my seams. So down the middle of my corset top, I'm going to add 2 pieces of boning. So I'm sewing 3 lines. So here is what it should look like. And I'm going to test to see if my boning fits. Awesome, it fits. So I took them back out and I'm going to sew on the next channel, which is going to be on exactly on the seam of the back panels. So I'm just pinning my piece and I'm going to sew it from the front for the first line and then exactly where I need to for the second line. Now these middle pieces of boning were probably the most difficult to sew in because I didn't have like a landmark to where I had to sew them, so I just measured it to be symmetrical on both sides of the middle pieces of boning. And here is what it should look like. And don't worry if it's wrinkled, it's all going to go away once I put the boning in, which is not right now. I'm doing some kind of finishing touches, getting rid of some loose threads. And then I'm going to sew almost all around the corset, except that I'm leaving open the ends of both straps, and I need to leave at least one side of all of the boning channels so that later on, once I've flipped it, I can insert the boning. So now that I sewed all around except for the bottom, I went ahead and cut off all of the excess fabric, so all of the seam allowances, as well as create some slits every time there is like a curve. So here around the neckline, so when I flip it over it's just gonna look that much better. And before I go ahead and flip my work right side out, I'm gonna figure out how long I need the straps to be. So about here, I'm grabbing it from here it is. So I think I'm gonna cut just that much and I'm gonna sew it right at the end, right here. And before I flip it over, I also forgot I'm gonna seam rip just enough here to put it in. You can also just not sew there instead of spending minutes to seam rip. And to flip this project over, just letting you know that safety pins are absolutely the best way to flip over any kind of straps. So you just attach it to the end and then let it jump head first into the strap, and that way I can easily flip it over. So I just took my corset to the ironing board and just flattened all of my seams. It just gives a much better look. And now the step that I dread every time is the buttonholes for being able to lace up the corset in the back. So for that, I'm using my sewing machine, and I'm gonna be using the buttonhole setting on the buttonhole stitch length. I put a width of 6 and a tension of 3, as well as put my buttonhole making foot on my sewing machine. And I absolutely always recommend you test first using the same fabric as your project, however not your project. Very important. So a tension of 3, a width of 6. I put it on just the buttonhole setting here as well as here. And I also traced all of the placements of my buttonholes on both sides, on the front, because we're going to sew it on the front. So now I'm going to open up all of these buttonholes, and to do that I'm placing a pin at the top or at the end, just in case my seam ripper wants to just cut through all the way. The pin is going to stop it. So basically you insert it at the beginning, you poke your fabric, and you carefully slide all the way to the pin. And there we go. So my last step is going to be to insert my strap into the opening I created earlier. So just like so. And then I'm going to sew by hand both straps. I'm going to insert the boning into the channels, and I'm gonna hand sew the bottom by tucking in the ends like so. And I'm going to do that with a ladder stitch. So I'm going to cut my boning just a little bit smaller than the length of my channel, because I do need some seam allowance to close it up. And once that's all done and inserted, I just pinned it to keep it closed while I sew it. And this took me so long, so I went over and watched some TV in my sofa/daybed. Moving on to the skirt, it's in some way much more easy and less complex than the corset top. So first off, I'm measuring my waist as well as the length that my skirt has to be. Of course, I am adding a couple of inches just because I need to hem it and add a waistband, which is going to take away some of the length. The measurement of my waist is not going to be useful here because I just did my skirt as large as my fabric allowed me because I wanted kind of more volume. And then I'm going to fold it so that the opening arrives like at the middle of the skirt, and it's going to be the back. So right where I connect both ends is going to be the middle back of the skirt. And I'm going to sew it up. Next, I'm adding pockets because everybody needs a dress with pockets, especially to put your phone. So I used my phone case as a guide to draw around my pockets. So then I'm cutting up the excess fabric and pinning it so I can sew it up. So as you can see, this is what both sides look like with the pockets sewed in. And here is the back view. So there's the seam down the back and then this other side. And I also made a special stitch, which I'm going to show you on my sewing machine. But it allows you to prevent fraying. And next I'm going to cut a waistband down to my size, and I'm gonna sew a channel onto the top to feed my elastic through. So we got our waistband and the top here, and basically all around I'm gonna create a channel wide enough for my elastic to fit through. I'm just flipping a little bit so I will tuck away the raw edge and then go down about the width of my elastic and pin this down. And then I'm going all around the waist. So of course you want to leave an opening so you can feed your elastic through. To do that, I'm going to use a pin and a safety pin. So first I'm pinning one end of my elastic to the fabric, just so I don't lose this end, otherwise I have to start over and that's not very fun. And to the other end I'm pinning my safety pin, and the safety pin is going to help me to feed the elastic through. And then once I have both ends of my elastic, I'm just going to attach them together, creating a box with an X in it. And apparently this is the strongest way to sew an elastic. So I'm going to pull on it to hide it away, and then I'm going to hand sew this opening closed. Next, I just have to hem the bottom of my skirt. Again, it's just to flip it over twice so the raw edge is tucked away. I'm pinning this down and just sewing along the whole edge with a straight stitch. And that's it. Now, are you ready for the grand reveal of this beautiful, beautiful prom dress? You can wear it as a bridesmaid dress, even maybe as a wedding dress, question mark. I didn't think honestly that I would pull this off. I think it turned out absolutely amazing. I love how the back it just looks like a dress out of a Bridgerton episode. It looks absolutely great.